There we go.
Hey everyone, happy Friday. So I was just talking with Dr. Hasna Wood, and I just wanted to bring her on because she's had a huge impact on my life, and I'm continuing to learn from her. I consider her a teacher, and you're my favorite teacher.
Oh.
I love when I ask you questions and you know that I need to figure out the answer. My favorite. So I met Hasna at Date with Destiny last year, and
Not last year, wasn't it? Like
2 years? No, I've only been in the Tony world since November of last year.
2019?
Yeah.
No, 2018. Yeah.
Oh my God, I know you too. Wow. Okay. Wow, time is flying.
Well, that's a little more than a year, right? November
Wow.
2018 is only a year and a few months. Year and a half.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you were my trainer?
I was your below the trainer. One of
Leader?
the leaders. Yeah.
Leader. You're my leader in the group. And I have two favorite memories of you. First of all, you were always smiling and sweet, and we're working through some serious stuff. And there was Hasna, just super positive with glitter. I wore a little glitter tonight.
Oh, I didn't put any on.
And my second favorite memory was when, because a lot of times we don't eat or sometimes drink water. And Hasna, I swear I have this vision of you just bringing jugs of water to us. Like it was like a third world country, and you were like just saving us with this water, and it was beautiful. We're all filling up our water bottles. And then since then, we saw each other at a couple of events, and then, I had something pretty challenging happen in my life, and Hasna was, right there on the phone with me, working through some stuff. And then after, I joined a deep dive meditation group with her, and I'm still just taking that all in. So my question to you, Hasna, is, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Well, I'm taken aback, actually. I was excited. I had no idea what you were going to say. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, it's a constant ongoing thing for me as someone who's never been so out there. I've always been word of mouth and booked up fully and kind of behind the scenes for different reasons, starting in Western medicine, dual diagnosis, and then transitioning into what many people refers to alternative medicine, but a natural medicine. And ever since then, I had my own health crisis, which led me to dabbling in things because I had no exposure. I was in a Western medical family. I had no exposure whatsoever. And trying something that supported me and sort of went against what all these surgeons were saying to a 20-something-year-old girl, what I had to do. There was only alternative, and really just saying this isn't an alternative for me. I was looking at massive amounts, 9 pounds of tumors in my uterus, and I still have my uterus. I won't tell you how long it's been, but it's been a lot of decades. So, keeping it, learning all about it through my own body, studying, training, going back to school, getting masters and doctorate, and just continuing to study and deepen my understanding of health and health of the mind, health of the body, health of the spirit. And we often talk about that, mind, body, spirit, mind, body, emotion, spirit, connection. But for me, it's actually all one. It's all one. But I guess my main message is really being clarified at this time, actually. And I am wanting to come out more, because it's funny that you said I was bringing you guys water, because
like an angel, it's ingrained in my mind.
Well, water is fundamental to health, and it's something that it's underestimated. I know when you said that, I was like getting hot because I know we're live and people are watching. And my CP teacher, Sidi Muhammad Al-Jamal Al-Rafiel, used to say, bringing the clean water to the people, the metaphor, because water is life, water is spirit. And he'd always say, to be the well for people. And so right now, in a time that we've seen in history, we've never seen anything like this as far as stress, as far as the skewed information. And it's not really about what's coming out, it's about what's not coming out. It's lopsided, right? We're not hearing, we're caught up in this fear and the disease and the problem rather than hearing the whole thing, that the majority of people are not getting this. And listen, I want to just say, my heart goes out. I have family in New York. I'm working with people in the UK and Ireland around this disease. I'm supporting healthcare practitioners. Many of my colleagues and friends are on the front lines working this in Western medicine. So working with the disease is what Western medicine excels in. What I'm talking about is health and supporting the immunity, supporting the nervous system, because we are in an epidemic time of stress and it's only going to get worse. And then we're looking at mandatory vaccinations, which are coming, and, you know, probably, and maybe not. Maybe they'll just be if you travel and if you're a healthcare worker, but they're already prepping if you're looking at the news. And even if we come out in June or July, social distancing should stay until, you know, the vaccinations. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the whole picture. And none of this is controversial. But it seems like you can't say anything.
This is my page, so you could say whatever you want.
Yeah, I know, but this is still the world. Remember that. So I've been doing this a long time, so I've learned to watch what I say and how I say it. But nothing is based that's not in fact. So the reality is the majority of people are not getting the virus. And those that are, the majority of those are getting through it. Okay. So we're not hearing that. And being the clean water, wanting to empower people. I want to create a world of powerful, empowered, resilient people who are focused on health and natural health care. Because the bottom line is, even Western medicine says, if you have a healthy immune system, that's what matters. So let's focus on that, because you know what? We're going to have another virus. And as long as we're looking at viruses out here and you don't know them, then you got to figure out that new virus. But guess what? Healthcare is actually simple. It's not always easy, but it's simple. We know the nutrients. We know that vitamin A supports the mucous membranes, which is the first line of defense. We know you have to have proper calcium to help quarantine when pathogens come in and then create an antigen. We know zinc. We know all these nutrients that help the body. We know how to blood test for them, and it's not a CBC. It's not a standard test your Western doctor gives. Most of them won't do it, but you want to go to somebody who's versed in health, like myself or someone else, just someone else. There's plenty of people out there that work with whole food nutrition. There's a lot you can do yourself. As soon as you can find zinc, because right now you can't.
I have some.
Well, good. What you can do a zinc test. It's cheap. You don't have to go get blood work. More than likely, you take some zinc, liquid zinc, put 2 tablespoons in your mouth, swish it around for 10, 15 seconds. If you don't taste anything, you're probably deficient.
Wow.
If you taste a little, it has to be metallic taste. If you taste a little bit, you may be deficient. If you absolutely, you taste metallic right away, then you probably have enough. And these are probably, so you're not really allowed to say, but I've seen things happen. So
would you recommend pill form or the liquid? Because I only have pill form.
Well, I'm not allowed to make recommendations over here for people, but what I use as just a person on the street.
Love you.
Things that don't have sugar. People get zinc lozenges, but they have a ton of sugar. And that's actually what I want to talk to you about, is the sugar epidemic in this country. Okay. But you and I can talk about that later. But zinc, right now, whatever form you can get it in, because you're not going to be able to get it.
True.
Your healthcare practitioner who has a good quality form. Right now, zinc and vitamin D, those are things you can get anywhere. And they're easy and they're inexpensive. If you want a whole food form of A and C and calcium, I would go to a practitioner who has practitioner-based, and also food. Eat whole foods that have these nutrients, whole foods. But if you're already deficient, you might need whole food supplementation. Not necessarily bought at your local convenience store or at those stores that carry bulk foods, of stuff. You're not talking about good quality. And practitioner-based things like Standard Process and other good companies that are whole food that are studied. Some of Standard Process which I don't have any stake in Standard Process, just so you know it. I've just been using them for 20 years. I use lots of companies, but just as an example, they, like, their turmeric is the most researched form of turmeric, is the most powerful form that's on the market anywhere.
I love turmeric.
And yeah, but you can eat it and that's good, but you need a high absorbable thing to cross the blood-brain barrier, because that is where neurotoxins are going. That is why what I want to lead into, what I'm excited to share to make resilient people, is right now, what's going on reaffirms our need for health. It reaffirms that we especially need blood sugar support. During this time, a lot of people aren't eating their greens and their whole foods. They're eating carbs and sugar because they're comfort foods. So breads and pastas are all sugars. And right now, this whole event is bringing us to the stark evidence reality that we're in a blood sugar insulin resistance epidemic. The CDC says 85 million people, and that was in 3 years ago, and the numbers haven't gone down, are pre-diabetic. And so if you look at the vast majority of people, when I said that, earlier, I'm confusing what we talked about earlier, you and I, and what I actually said on the live video, but the majority of people that have the complications, the mortality, the hospitalizations, have blood sugar issues, high blood pressure, obesity, all the pressure problems, and most of those are underlying with blood sugar. And a couple weeks ago, I talked to a physician who's on the front lines, and he'd seen about 70, I don't want to quote the exact amount, but it was like 74, 76 people at that time, COVID. And he said 3/4 of them were either pre-diabetic or diabetic. So none of this is statistical fact yet, but we know this. We know that a diabetic person, they could eat all the carrots and they won't absorb vitamin A. Vitamin A is your frontline defense in your body for your immunity. So this is an epidemic that we have to deal with, this healthcare issue, and no one's fearful or screaming about that at all. And we've got to deal with that issue of health. And so, but deal with it in a solution-based way. I want to be the water for people. I want to be your doggy.
There's 3. Oh no.
No, it was good. It was good. It was a break in the intensity. I'm just passionate because I just want to be a support for people, but not to feed in the fear, because the bottom line is we are headed, probably headed to forced vaccinations. We're looking at the 5G rolling out. We're looking at all these issues, economic stress, 22 million people are unemployed as of the other day. But the issue being, we have support for these things.
Can you explain a little bit about 5G for those that don't know?
Well, right now, EMF exposure, there are things we can do. We have to protect our nervous system. So that, because we weren't designed to take these levels of EMFs or EMFs at all. So there are things you can do to protect your nervous system. And that might be another call, but there's definitely things that you can do to supplement. But the bottom line for all of this, first and paramount, and it might seem really simple, is whole foods. And so it actually mimics a little bit more of what is the trendy keto or paleo or.
It's so interesting. Yeah.
But what I do want to point out something before I forget. Russell Blaylock, he's an MD. He was a renowned neurosurgeon. He is renowned. He wrote several books, but he left and he wrote a book called Excitotoxins, The Taste That Kills. And he left his practice just to study the neurotoxic effects of chemicals, of the initially MSG and aspartame, which when I first went into alternative healthcare a couple decades ago, that was like the big scary monster and the controversial, and why it was passed through the FDA and how it was passed, and then the name was changed and hidden, and now it's like a puppy dog. It's like a little wolf, baby wolf compared to what we're dealing with today. But he's studying all these. So the book that I want you all to check out, change your life, is called Health and Nutrition Secrets That Can Save Your Life.
Do you know who that's by, Hasna?
It's by Russell Blaylock, MD. He's the neurosurgeon I was speaking about. But he talks about toxins and how how critical basic nutrition is. And really what it left me with, because I live in a healthy place. I live where people are health conscious, mentally, emotionally, physically. We grow our own food, whole live food. People meditate. I'm talking in general, but where I live, people are generally healthy. People are calm. People aren't, emotional. People don't get it. They're kind here. Don't underestimate kindness, because excess emotions like anger or fear drop your immunity like that, 6-9 hours. Those are chemicals. Those are truths. We can measure chemicals of different thoughts. They did a study once and they showed just on a slide, when you cried, if it was a tear of an onion,
I love this.
Sadness, remember that?
I love it.
So we can measure that in your blood. These are things that are possible, but people aren't making the leap then, and still making the leap like you need a chemical to put in to balance this. Well, how about look at what you're thinking? What are you eating? What are you saying? How are you behaving? What are you putting in to your ears, into your mouth? How much alcohol are you drinking? How much stress are you having? Stress emits, chemicals. We know when you're in love, it emits a different chemical. They did a study at Berkeley. Tony Robbins actually talks about that one. But I love that study. I love studies. I'm a geek too. So I'm not just some flighty, go ahead and pick these. And no, there's science behind every single thing I do. And Royal Lee was back almost 100 years ago talking about this whole food nutrition, but he put it together comprehensively, and it was studied and tested. And their stuff is still researched more than any other stuff for proven effects. But you can't say heal anymore. But you can say it's a nutritional supplement to support this.
That's what you can't say heal anymore.
Well, you can't. You have to. You're still in some little world. I live in a world where people can come into your office with guns and take out machines because they've been known to take away cancer. These things are real. These aren't. So I'm fine with not rocking the system by fighting. I don't want to fight anything. So I don't want to get into the polarization of vaccinations. What is and how do we deal with it, and what's the solution? Because I guarantee you, vaccination, the people doing vaccinations, they want people to stay well because they pay out of pocket for all the vaccination accidents. People that are going to have to be vaccinated in order. I don't know how many nurses I talked to that didn't want to be vaccinated. And then I already told them, let's just prep you a couple weeks before and after. Let's build your system up. There are proven ways to do that because you build your immunity to deal with these toxins. And so because we're going to have more stress with all these different physical, emotional, and different, chemicals, the 5Gs coming in, we've got to keep our nervous system well. You've got to watch what you're putting in by watching news and lopsided to hold the reality of it too. It doesn't mean, those people aren't professionals. They're professionals in that, but there's going to be another virus we don't know. So let's work on what we do know is that most people don't get it. So let's figure out how to support the immune system. And there are experts like me who know how to support the immune system, that know how to support the immune system. I don't say I fight the COVID virus. I'm not allowed to say that. And I don't say that. What I say is that I do have training, expertise, and experience in that. And there are so many other practitioners out there that want to support and work together so that we can, if you do have to get a vaccination, help you so that your body can deal with those toxins that are coming in, right? And maybe even one day, instead of waiting for the government or for them to do it, I'm not into that, man. It's about empowerment. For me, if you want to be empowered, you have to be self-responsibility. So don't wait to change it out there, change it in here. There are people that can run your blood work. So if you're deficient in vitamin A or zinc or, calcium, but the big problem is get your blood sugar done. Doctors will test your blood and go, your blood sugar is fine. I'm telling you, there's certain signs and symptoms and you can run your numbers and people are high, 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 high. It's insane. So you get that in check. People with bellies and people with fatigue, there's very simple signs for it. And get that blood sugar down. Stop eating the carbs and the sugar processed, not a sweet potato. If you're on a strict diet, then they're going to tell you none of that. But people hear carbs then, like carbs are bad. But, we used to hear fats, stop fats. No, fats are good. Fats are what are going to help us. You have sugar cravings. This is why Bulletproof is great. He just took old basic grass-fed butter. I'm sorry, vegans. There are other things. And coconut.
I love you so much.
And coconut. But those two will start stabilizing your blood sugar.
For the first time this week, because I did a 3-day water cleanse, and I put coconut oil in my coffee, I'm hooked. I love it.
Yeah. So it'll help. I mean, in fact, so we know fats don't cause cholesterol issues. It's not what the cause was. We know that your body needs fat. People still are on low fat diets when the science is there that low fat diets, you get fat. We've known this for a long time. You have to wake up. This is like old. I don't know why people still are doing diet stuff. There's chemical things. They make you fat. But it's not about fat that I'm worried about. I want you to be healthy. But obesity, people who are obese are at risk factors for all the other things. They go hand in hand, right? You have blood sugar problems more than likely. And then you have high blood pressure problems and your immunity's dropped. And you're going to have problems with viruses and fighting pathogens that come your way. So do we want to focus on the big bad pathogen and wait till it comes to figure out, okay, what's this new one now? Where did it come from? And scare the shit out of everybody to drop your immunity even more, to put people in fear and anger and stealing toilet paper, when we can just focus on, yes, I'm glad, come up with the antigens, come up with the antibodies, come up with all of that. But when we can actually come back here, which is what health is, me. What do I got to do? Not what did you do to me? What did you do to me? You made me mad. No, why am I mad? Work on my anger issues. Work on my emotions. Empowerment is about starting here. Not what you did to me, not what happened 10 years ago, but what I'm doing today to carry that still. The feelings I'm continuing to have because of what happened. I'm going to say this, but maybe this isn't appropriate. Maybe I'll lose credibility. I'm not trying to be sassy. I'm going to say it because I do want credibility. I want people to hear me because the solution's simple and we don't always like simple solutions, especially when we're in fear. Complexity, the mind loves complexity then. Western medicine acknowledges this. We need a certain amount of water. I don't know how many people I deal with. They're like, yeah, I know. I just don't feel like it. Water is essential. 3/4 of your body is water. My dear David Chappelle. I love David Chappelle. Hey, listen, he's a comedian, but he's a thinker. Listen, he makes me think. I think about stuff all the time. I see things, but he takes my belief system and walks me down a way. And even though he makes jokes, he's brilliant.
I never knew that about you. I love that.
Me? He's brilliant. I love smart people. Funny and smart go well together for me because I'm funny and smart.
Well, yeah, most people who are hilarious are brilliant.
Oh, I know some stupid funny people. No, just kidding.
No.
Have you ever seen Brian Regan? I love Brian Regan. He's from Miami. Love him, but he's kind of dopey. No, I'm kidding. But Dave Chappelle is not smart. He's brilliant. He's well-read. He's educated, but he does critical thinking. There's a lot of brilliant people that don't think.
True.
One of the things that I want to do to create resilient, empowered people is have them learn how to think. Part of health, from the Chinese medical perspective, from any balanced healthcare paradigm, is perspective. Perspective is a function of the liver in Chinese medicine, of a wood element, to be able to have perspective. So it means I can see this and hold this all, and not just like this. People like this is what creates fear when there's all this other over here also. And there's solutions here. So to look at it all and to be able to hold it and not have an emotional reaction to everything, but be able to hold it. But we've become very brittle today. This is what Dave Chappelle talks about. We've become brittle. Not everyone, but we've become brittle. People say things and now all of a sudden we're knocked down, we're traumatized. He talks about the white people. He's like, man, if we'd only known that a black person dropping to their knees would totally freak out white people, throw white people into a tizzy more than anything. You have to hear him. He's brilliant. He does, he pushes some things and he always says, I'm not right. I'm just speaking up here. But comedy is the one place that you can actually speak your mind safely, at least still right now, and, push the envelope. And he talks about the brittle human being. I think we have become brittle, but I also believe that we're resilient. And when we're empowered that we were made, our bodies, listen, we have evolved over all these hundreds of years. We've evolved. We're not going anywhere. We were made to live in harmony with things, to know how to take things in. That's why people are carriers. This is not the only virus that people are. You might be a carrier and not know. Guess what? You might be a carrier of all different things and not know, because you're healthy. You've got it in your organism and your body's living with it and not having symptoms because your body's like strong enough to carry that until it takes care of it and passes it. And yes, can that be dangerous to somebody who has a weak immune system, that has poor health? Absolutely. But how are we going to continue on as a humanity? Are we going to look at the epidemic of the problem that we have, the real problem? Not mask and all that stuff is tragic, but this is a system that we've allowed that is a money-making system. And there are beautiful doctors in that system. I know plenty of MDs who've gotten out because they cannot stand being that, because they do care and they do want to help people. And so they studied a different way. They're not wrong any more than I'm wrong for the way I studied. It's different. But there is a place to come together. But a system, if your health is dependent on somebody making a profit, don't think that your health is coming first. That's the bottom line. MDs are saying that it's not controversial. And so, yes, it's tragic that there are no masks and not enough of all those things. This is a problem, but this is not the main problem. Right now it is, but it's not the root problem. And the natural medicine that I do gets to the root problem. So it's perennial medicine. It's not just dealing with like, what's the weed on top? No, how do you cultivate the soil to keep it well so that the plants that you want to, are strong enough to, to cultivate. It's not, I don't know, I just made up that metaphor. I'm not sure that's
no,
they're strong enough, or the weeds will take over. And everybody's like, the weeds are strong and they put chemicals on it. Why don't you clean up the soil, get rid of some of the weeds as they come up, keep the weeds gone, right? Just keep it. Or you just let it overrun and go, oh my God, look at all these weeds. Well, there was like one there 20 years ago and you let it go and then it spread. But is it the weeds or is it just that you didn't tend to it? I don't even know if there's an analogy, but
no, I'm getting it. Yeah.
Just keep, cleaning it up, or focus on the weeds or focus on that. But we're going to have another one. So let's focus on how to keep our nervous system well. Read that book, Health and Nutrition Secrets. It'll change you. That'll save your life. He is brilliant. I love that doctor. And, if people don't want to have me credible, that's fine. He's a renowned neurosurgeon that left his very established practice to go into this. It's a brilliant story to understand the neurotoxins and how they affect the brain.
Do you have like a quick tip that we could use to protect ourselves?
Yes. Stop eating refined sugar.
Everything's sugar. Yeah.
I was like, I'm doing YouTube. I'm coming out with this woman who empowered herself, was told she was going to die of cancer, and then decided not to, followed her gut, had this gut call and went whole foods, naturals, learned about things, and she's thriving today. She's healthy. Even the doctors were like, how did this not spread? What are you doing? But she went against, I think it was 15 surgeons that all said, you have to do this or you will die. They didn't say you have a problem. They were like, you will die. Wow. And like, she learned about it because it kept coming back. And so then she learned there's emotional aspects to it. There's mental aspect. There's things I need to let go. There's spiritual aspects. And she's still learning, just like me. So what I would say, and these are things that nobody hasn't heard.
Yeah, but coming from you, I think is
well,
important.
Maybe. But what we need to do right now, especially if you care about immune system, if you're afraid of the virus, let go of the fear, empower yourself, because fear will drop your immune system. This is a fact. You drop your immunity. Go into the solution, and that is raising your immunity. So if you need these nutrients, you need to be eating. Add buckwheat right now, black seed, which you can put.
Oh my God, black seed.
But black cumin is a Middle Eastern Ayurvedic. I grind it up with, get a really good organic one. It's hard to find right now, in honey, in real honey. I will tell you something about honey. Here's my new thing again. In this book.
Raw honey?
Yes, but you need to know honey is a superpower, superfood
honey.
medicine. But I want to tell you something, and I'll give it to you. You can type it up when you post this. I forget the name of the physician, but people will always say, that's not right. Even MDs, I'm like, no, this is science. Honey, if it's real honey, now remember, you can't go into your grocery store and buy it because the majority of honey is imported from, just know this.
If it's liquid, it's not honey.
Well, the majority is imported in this country from Asia, from China. And so that's high fructose corn syrup. Remember, in this, the labeling that everybody didn't vote for, you can say whatever you want on there. And it is not fact, doesn't have to be factually correct. They can say 100% this and it have 30% filler in it. That's another whole thing. But honey, so make sure you get it from Hector. Hector's honey, local, Sonoma County here, Hector. I don't have my hives anymore, but get it from somebody you know, because a label does not always tell you the truth, but get it local. Not everybody can do that. So do your best to vet it and find out if it's organic and local. You can ask questions and email those places. Ask them what they feed their bees, different things like that. But honey, the two sugar molecules, when they come together, it's the only thing in nature, convert to glycogen. Glycogen is produced naturally in the liver, but it's food. It's food for the brain. It's food for the body. And what it does is during the daytime, it converts to serotonin. At night, or when it's dark, it converts to melatonin. So I treat diabetics with honey. People like insulin and it's going to spike your sugar. No. Just remember, when you read studies, what are they studying? Did they take that crap sugar? Because they did a study on echinacea. They took the crappiest echinacea because when we put it against the echinaceas we know how they was tested, but they took crappy echinacea. So if you read, the study echinacea doesn't work, well, you have to know all about how studies work and what source of echinacea did you use? What part of the plant when they studied it? So honey converts. That's why you can use it for insomnia. It doesn't knock you out like Valium. If you've been taking Valium for 10 years, I'm being serious. People come in and
I know.
saying it didn't work last night. Well, you've been on benzodiazepines for a lot of years, so it may take some time. So we'll give you some supplementation until the food can work, right? That's why you use supplementation to support you until you can get back to the food working. Now the food can work, but sometimes we don't have time or we need to, but there are whole food. I use whole food supplementation. That's all been studied and researched, what I use. So eating whole foods right now, whole foods, like cod liver oil, back after World War II, they were rationing it, but everybody was getting a tablespoon. You got it in school. You may not like it.
Black seed oil is disgusting, but it tastes so bad.
Buckwheat right now.
It's kind of like peppery.
What's that?
It's a little peppery, it's the first time I had it was a little hard to.
Well, it'll affect. I actually have my meditation soon. Actually, right now I got to go. But buckwheat, I know. Master Glenn back east is leading us in a global coronavirus meditation.
Wow.
Buckwheat helps the nervous system. I'd say eat whole foods. Stop eating sugar and processed carbs. Stop it. Eat whole foods as much as possible. Nuts, oil. Get good oils in you. You need oils. Coconut, unrefined coconut oil. Yum. Eat it.
I rub it all over my face.
Do it. But eat it.
No, I do.
Eat it. Yeah. Honey is a great substitute for sugar. But if you keep putting carbs and sugar, you're still going to have a craving for it. So you have to stop. So I say honey because you can take that. It's not sugar in your body if it's real honey. And it will help you with that craving. Carrots can help. But some people have strong sugar cravings, like, I need to taste like some sugar.
How about dark chocolate?
Well, I'm just talking about, depends how much sugar it has in it. Depends. I make dark raw chocolate, but I use coconut butter, coconut oil, cacao, all sorts of, I don't put any sugar in it. I put some coconut nectar in it, and things that can balance, or like I put Yukon, which balances your blood sugar, which is a root. It's super sweet though, so I only put a tad in it, but it actually balances your blood sugar. And it's natural, not processed. Well, I gotta go because I gotta go do my meditation. I've been doing it every day.
I love you so much.
I hope that was good. I'll give you the name of the book for the reference so people can say, she's lying.
Well, I got a lot from that, and I'm sure a lot of other people did too. So,
well, thank you for letting me rattle, because I'm passionate now about it, and I really got to step out because I really want people to tap into the resiliency, be empowered. It's such a scary time to know what I can't do, and it is scary right now, when so much is out of our control. So control what you can, which is what you put in your mouth, which is what you put in your ears, which is what you put in your eyes. Everything that you put into your being is your choice, and that's where your power lies.
And I'm so happy that you're one of my top people that I love to see, hear, and experience things with.
Thank you for holding the space for me to share this and to hopefully reach somebody. Because if 50 lives are changed, that's awesome. If one life is changed, if your life is changed, and just together, then that's beautiful.
I love you so much.
I love you.
Talk soon.
Talk soon, honey.
Ciao.
Bye.